think we're going to have to come back to the health underwriting.
Yeah.
Because we're going to talk about the individual plan, and that is if your employer does not offer a group plan,
Right.
you have to go out, if you
Find it.
want to have health insurance, you have to go out and buy an individual plan.
Yeah.
Walk me through the process.
Well, I would say the first step would definitely be finding somebody that you can talk to. I mean, calling an insurance company is definitely a good way to start. Typically those people are kind of hard to get a hold of. The process is a little bit tougher. You're calling an 800 number, so on and so forth. So finding a good broker, I think, is a good first start.
Okay, before you go on, tell me what a broker is.
A broker is going to be somebody that represents multiple companies and can run a full spectrum quote, so you know you're getting the best price for the best plan.
And that's what you
and
are.
some good advice, and that's what
Awesome. Okay.
No
so,
plug there. So,
yeah. So you don't represent, but you can speak about the prices and the products of multiple companies.
right.
And,
Right now I have about 15 health insurance companies.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I have narrowed it down to usually the top 4 or 5 that are easy to work with. Rates are really good. They've been in the industry for a long time and so forth. But
Okay. So they either call the insurance company or they contact a broker like yourself, and then what?
my first questions are, what is your health history like? Because that's also going to be tailored. Certain companies are more lenient or more strict on health conditions, health history, medications. Luckily, in the youth market, anywhere from 18 to 35, it's a lot less than somebody that's going to be in 50s or 60s and are dealing with high blood pressure and those different types of things. If health history looks good, we kind of narrow it down by price and plan. If somebody's super active and skiing all the time, obviously I'm not going to put them on a $15,000 deductible. We're going to, you don't want anybody really to be on that, but if they obviously can't afford it, then it is what it is. So we narrow it down to plan, usually based on price.
Okay. So we'll come up because you had a couple of terms there that I want to get back to, but in the health history, when you're talking to them about that, that's because you know what's coming, which is this health underwriting thing.
It's usually about 50 or 60 questions on a health insurance application that you're going to have to mark yes or no based on your history.
Okay, so if I do this health history for the health underwriting, I do all this 50 or 60 yes or no questions, and then I turn it into who?
You turn it into the company.
To the company, and the company does what with it?
That's considered the underwriting process. There's people that are technically considered underwriters. They've gone to school or have really studied the underwriting guidelines.
They've gone to school to
be well, I mean, it's not like college school, but like where I go get my license to be an insurance professional, there's underwriting schools to where people want to be underwriters.
Like, whoa. Okay.
And that happens on all different spectrums of insurance. Most insurance is underwritten based on your health. So
then they look at your test and they say, what if you had a broken wrist in high school?
Things like that, as long as you're not still in physical therapy or still dealing with the injury, those are usually no problem.
Okay, so when does it become a problem? When do I not get in?
A problem would be if you're on painkillers for it still. That's usually a big flag. How long, how much, why are you still on it if it happened 3 years ago? That's usually a huge flag. Any types of medications, I see like ADD type medications. Those are usually accepted, and insurance companies back in the day used to do what they call riders. So they would say, okay, you're on an ADD medication, we're going to accept you, but we're not going to cover that condition. Now they just rate you up, so anywhere from a 25 to 100% rate up on your premium. So in ADD type medication scenarios, most is a 25% increase. So then we go back to the drawing board and say, okay, your premium was $100, we now have to add 25%. Your total premium is now that much higher, so 125 or so.
Okay, so basically so ADD would be considered a pre-existing condition. That's a condition that you had before you came into this insurance plan.
Yeah.
I think that's what pre-existing condition means.
Yes.
So any pre-existing condition that we have that's kind of an ongoing one, which may be ADD, what's some other examples?
On young people, it's a lot less. You know, I see a lot of high blood pressure, cholesterol. I don't see as many medications in young people.
Okay.
Just because hopefully they're taking good care of themselves. I'm sure that there are the...
Can you think of any other pre-existing conditions amongst the young adult crowd that you can think of outside of medications?
You know, injuries, if it's been really, really near the time of application,
Okay.
sometimes they'll rate that differently. But I can't really think, most young people are pretty good.
Okay. So, and I just want to make sure that we're clear, when you said rate up, which means they increase your rate.
They increase your rate, but they accept everything. So I think it's a better standpoint than saying, we'll take you, but we won't cover this. Well, that's usually why you're getting insurance.
Right. So this is, they say, well, we're going to cover you, but we're going to charge you more because you have this pre-existing
Right,
condition.
and I think a good thing to really hone in on is if people don't have a gap in coverage, then pre-existing doesn't apply at all. So like, let's say you're 18, you know, you decide to get on your own plan and there's no gap between coming off your parents and onto the new plan.
Mm-hmm.
If there's no gap, then more than 90 days, pre-existing doesn't apply at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, but if you've had more than a gap of 90 days, most plans it's a year wait before they'll cover pre-existing.
Oh, okay. That's good to
So
know.
it's a good incentive for people to kind of keep continuous coverage.
Right.
It's smart anyway.
Why do you think that is? I mean, I don't know that that's...
Just because they know you've been insured, I guess, and
Oh, that's
covered,
good.
I'm not really sure.
That's
I don't really know. Because a lot of people will become really sick and then want insurance,
Yeah.
and they buy it because they have it instead of having it be a preventative. It's kind of a
Gotcha. That makes
preventative
sense.
plan.
Okay.